when we look ahead to the start of the season, it's such a tough one to call this year because it's like a month until the transfer window ends. I mean, usually there's 10 days, 2 weeks left, all right? But here it's so long to go.
I don't know. The season has often started first, second week of August or towards the back end of that. We've often had 3 weeks worth of play, 3 or 4 games. I remember plenty of seasons where, the first games were, 10, 11, 12th of August. So you still had almost 3 weeks to go.
Okay. Who's in best shape then?
Man City, I think, are looking sensational. Liverpool, expect them to be 1 and 2, and that'll be a bit of a dogfight to see who comes first. The rest are a little bit unknown, I think. There's been lots of activity going on, and again, it's who gels the quickest. Who ignore pre-season. Results are irrelevant. Makes no difference whether you lose 4 games in a row or win 5 games in a row. It's pre-season. It's about getting fit, about getting ready for that first game. I think there's a few teams that are going to have to start well to get going. My old team, Leeds, I think they need to start well. I was listening to Liam Cooper this morning, on breakfast, I think it was. They need to start well after a poor last season. They didn't start well then. Jesse Marsh came in and got them out of a bit of a problem. Likes of Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest. You've got to start well, because if you start off badly, if you lose 3 of the first 5, 4 of the first 6, and you're looking up and you're down the bottom, it's very, very difficult to make that up and get yourself out of that hole, because the pressure starts to mount even from 5-6 games in.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, because like I say, I think there is a chance to rectify any issues after the first couple of weekends. You'll still have an opportunity. You'll probably play 3 games, still have another one before the transfer window closes. We haven't got an international break, don't forget, because normally we play 1 game, get an international break in the first moment of the season. That's at least that's one thing that we haven't got to put up with. Yeah, we will have one not too far into the season, though, September, I think, for the international break. But you're right in terms of pre-season not being a big indicator, but I do think it's important, because I think there are certain teams who are virtually there in terms of their recruitment going into the start of the season. I mean, intrigued to see how Tottenham start the season, for example, because you'd say that they virtually got everything that they wanted done just about. They might add another...
Yeah, I think a lot of teams are going to be undercooked. A lot of teams...
Short rest, you mean, from the end of last season?
No, not short rest. Not enough games in pre-season.
Oh, really?
There are teams coming into this that have maybe played 4 or 5 games. The first couple of games, the players maybe played 45 minutes each. If you go around and look at all the Premier League sides, there aren't too many teams that have had players out there for 90 minutes, 80, 90 minutes. And this, it's an old adage, it's a cliche, but it takes 6 or 7 games to get up to real match speed. And when you've got to blend a lot of new players into that as well, this is sometimes you can get some strange results at this time of the season. So, yeah, I'd expect 1 or 2 interesting or unexpected results in the first couple of weeks of the season.
This is the thing, right? We had the Nations League, 4 games, a lot of players were there for a few weeks with their nations. A lot of those players got extended time off. A lot of these international players, amongst the best players at their club, clearly. And those players have probably played 2 or 3 pre-season matches.
That's what I mean. So,
So what I was going to ask is, this first few weeks of the season, then, we can't really read much into it?
No, because you're still getting sharpness. And this is why the top teams, it's not about playing sensational football. It's about grinding out results, not getting beat, getting those victories on the board. It's not about, playing ultimate football and going, wow, look how good they are. It's the first 4 or 5 games of the season. You win nothing. Absolutely nothing. If you win all 6, you win nothing. But if you lose all 6, then you've got real problems. It stops you from winning it, later on. So you've just got to build your way into the season. Manage. 5 subs is going to be an interesting one, because I think obviously we've seen in the women's Euros, it's almost like Trina Wiegman said, right, you know what? You 4 or 5 players, go out there, 55, 60 minutes, max out. Because after 55, 60 minutes, you're coming off. And that was almost pre-planned, premeditated. that might happen in the Premier League. You know, you might get coaches going, well, look, I've got all these changes. I can bring three players off at 60 minutes and I've still got a couple of changes left. So you might get players, you know what, let's just go for it. Blow up after 60 minutes and then get taken off and build into the season that way. They might learn from what the England women's team have done.
Anything you're worried about as we go into the new Premier League season in terms of teams who, you know, talking about undercooked in terms of fitness, but in terms of their squads, recruitment? Well, there's a couple of teams. I mean, I am worried about Manchester United a little bit. I am a little bit. Chelsea fans, I think, should be slightly worried as well, just because they've tried to get so many players. They've been hijacked so many times. The approach looks a little bit
looks
scattergun.
Looks like they're going to gazump a few, though, doesn't it, in the last month or so? Yeah, again, Chelsea probably need 2 or 3 more recruits.
Is that all?
Yeah, I would say so.
Because there's a lot of players that probably want to leave, as Thomas Tuchel's alluded to during pre-season.
But if they don't leave, you've still got them, and they've still got to perform to get a move. So that wouldn't be a huge concern. I just think it's the likes of Bournemouth down there, Forest, you know, Fulham, those teams coming up. They've got to make sure. Brentford, I would put in there as well. Second season syndrome can kick in. Magnificent at the start of last season. No Christian Eriksen, who was fundamental to the way they played the back end of last season and huge reason, one of the reasons why they stayed up. All those teams have got to be careful. Everton have got to start well. Obviously, they've got Southampton as well. They've lost some players. You know, they've got to find goals from somewhere. Wolves, you know, had a terrible end. Leeds in there as well. We talked about it. There are a lot of teams in there that need to get off to a decent start. If not, the pressure's going to mount very, very quickly.
Yeah, it's going to be a great start to the season. Kicks off on talkSPORT with Crystal Palace against Arsenal live on Friday night right here. Exclusively, of course, throughout the season. Friday night football here on talkSPORT.